just played was actually in an odd time signature, but hopefully it felt like it was in 4/4 because of the consistent snare hits on all of the upbeats. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll play that beat again and I'll put a transcription up on the screen. But just like we can make an odd time signature sound like it's in 4/4, we can also do the opposite. We could play in 4/4 and purposely make it feel like everything's really odd and jagged. And that's what we're going to focus on in today's video. So you might be wondering, why in the heck would I purposely want to make 4/4 feel odd? That's a fair question. So I've got a few answers for you. Number one, it's a really effective way of creating tension and release within the music. Secondly, it's a great way of improving our timing, because if we're going to imply that the downbeat of 1 is somewhere other than where it's actually occurring, we really have to be that much more aware of where the actual downbeat of 1 occurs. And finally, it's just a great way of coming up with new ideas. So let's dive into it. Something that we do all the time when we play in 4/4 is we play a 2-bar pattern. It could be anything, something like this. Okay, so what we're going to get into now is going to require a little bit of math, but this won't be like studying for the International Math Olympics. We're talking really basic elementary school level arithmetic. So when we have our 2 bars of 4/4, that's a total of 8 beats. And we are basically dividing that up, 2 bars of 4 on one side, 4 on the other. What we're going to do now is divide that up in an odd way. So here's a groove that's in 5/4, and I'll mark the downbeat of each bar by hitting the stacker symbol over here. Check it out. So here's where the math comes in. I mentioned before that the 2 bars of 4/4 is a total of 8 beats. With our bar 5, we now need 6, 7, 8, 3 more beats. So here's a groove in 3/4, and I'll mark the downbeat of each bar now by playing the splash cymbal. So all that's left to do now is combine our bar 5 with our bar 3, and that will give us our 2 bars of 4/4. And notice now that when I hit the splash cymbal, which used to mark the downbeat of 1 when we were playing in 3/4, now it's playing beat 2 on the second bar. So before we move on, I want to just take a moment to talk about how to apply this concept. Because even if you can play this with just the most incredible feel and the most perfect timing, you don't want to just force this upon the music. Think of it like language. You might know an unusual or fancy sounding word like lugubrious, and just because you know that word, you don't want to just throw it into the next sentence. But see what I just did there? I created a situation that allowed me to use the word lugubrious. And I just did it again. So that's the whole point, is you want to create musical situations that allows this concept to fit. Here are a few suggestions on how to create your own musical situation. Ideally, I recommend to just get together with other musicians and create music around these ideas. Another idea would be to find some loops and just splice and dice them so that they fit the time signatures that you're focusing on. Also, if you play another instrument, you can always write your own music to these grooves. So here's that same groove that we just played, but applied to music. In that last example, we started with a bar of 5 and then played a bar of 3. So what we're going to do now is the opposite. We're going to start with a bar of 3 and then play a bar of 5. First, I'll demonstrate the bar of 3 by itself. Then I'll demonstrate the bar of 5 by itself. And then we'll combine the two to equal our 2 bars of 4/4. And of course, we have to create a musical example. By the way, we don't always have to play a 2-bar phrase in 4/4. We can also do a 1-bar phrase. So we're going back to the math thing again. So now in 4/4, we have a total of 8 eighth notes. So again, let's divide this up into 5 and 3. So we're going to have a bar of 5/8 followed by a bar of 3/8. So here's our bar of 5/8 first, then I'll play the bar of 3/8, and you guessed it, then I'll combine them to create our 1 bar of 4/4. And of course, we have to do another musical example. So I'm going to put this on the snare to just give it a little bit more of that 70s fat tone. probably think that this next example is going to be the reverse of that, a bar of 3/8 followed by a bar of 5/8. However, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to do a bar of 6/8, which last time I checked, 6/8 is technically not an odd time signature, but it definitely has a different feel than 4/4. And then that would leave us with 2/8 notes left over. So here's our bar of 6 followed by our bar of 2. And now here's the same groove with some musical accompaniment. Well, that about wraps it up, so I'll see you on... Wait, remember earlier when I said, and if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll play that beat again, and I'll put a transcription up on the screen. So, as promised, here's that groove. Thanks so much for watching this all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next video.